Hello folks, welcome to my YouTube channel Watercolor Impressions. This week we are going to take a plein air sketch from my trip from PI and we're going to do a painting from it. Before you go, hit the subscribe button so you guys can get weekly video updates from our channel. And let's get started, guys. This place was quite nice, and this is where you can go and find your own clamshells. And my girlfriend with her parents, they were doing clamshells on the left on the way in the distance, and I thought I would sit here and capture this lighthouse and as well as this beach in distance. This subject is a little bit hard to capture because it has a lot of complexity, and I want to make sure that I try to capture the essence of the scene, and I'm telling a story for it. And this is a midway sketch I showed, and I couldn't able to record everything because I don't have my equipment with it, so I thought I will do a sketch and bring it and I will do a painting of it. So this is my final sketch. I was really happy with what I've captured because I captured the essence of the scene, and I also changed a lot of things. And you can see on the top right I have the image attached, and you could see I didn't have Cobalt Blue in my palette, so I have to make up the pigment a little bit lighter with Cerulean Blue. So from my memory what I have there, and with the sketch, and we will try to do a painting, and let's see what we can come up with. And when I did this painting, there's one thing I was keeping in mind, not to do a pretty painting. It's all about learning what I learned from the from my plein air sketch, as well as what I'm trying to do in the studio. Since this is a smaller piece, so I'm not worried about my final result. I'm trying to capture the essence as well as what I learned from the scene and what I saw while I was painting there. And I also had 3 couple figures in my sketch, whereas here I'm putting two people in the midground and one person in the foreground. And there's one thing when I started this sketch is I realized that the lighthouse, I put it all the way at the top, and you can see the figure on the lighthouse is not matching. So I did go and fix it, and these are the things we have to plan it in order to do a painting before you do anything. So you can see as soon as I put on my wash, I realized that my lighthouse was a little bit higher, and this is where in watercolors you have to be really careful where you place your sketch, and you have to be a little bit careful when doing it. I would have if I would have done this painting like 2 years ago, I would have did a new sketch, but vanity prevents it, and deep down I know that I can make a sketch out of it. I can use a little bit of white paint and cheat it a little bit here and there. So in the horizon, in the reference it's not there, but I'm trying to capture that distance with the mountains in the distance. And there is you can see it's a 3-part painting. There's the midground where there is a little bit of a cliff, and there's a cliff which is in distance, and there is also another mountain which is all the way in the distance. And this is a beautiful subject for showing depth and distance. In reality, when you see the video what I showed before, if you go and check it out, and everything looks a little bit darker. In reality it looks darker, but I always try to show a little bit of depth in my painting, and that's all classical painting is all about. You create depth and distance, and you take viewers and bring it into the painting. And whenever you do a painting from your location, it doesn't look the same, and it is really impossible in watercolors especially to paint as it is and bring the exact quality as it is. And it also helps to simplify your subject, as well as it also helps you to keep going and persevere with the sketch instead of copying as it is. And it's okay to be a little bit different. And when I did a sketch before, I tried to copy exactly as it is, and I always fail, and I feel really bad about it. So this one thing you have to keep in mind, that it doesn't have to be exactly same what you did on the location, but you try to capture the essence, and it also, the memory comes from the location as well, and what you learned and the sketch what you've done. And you can see in a couple of strokes I able to try to capture the scene really fast. And now you can see as soon as I'm going to add the lighthouse, it will look like the place what I showed in the video. In the video the lighthouse was a little bit far, and it also looks super tiny, and that didn't serve my sketch. In order to have really good composition, I want the light sketch to be a little bit in the front, and I also made a little bit bigger as well. And I also added the figure in the midground, the foreground as well, just to create a little bit of depth. And you can see there is a point of direction happening there. So there's a Z. So if you take the foreground character, the midground character, and it takes to the lighthouse, and it goes to the distance. So it's kind of creating the composition in such a way that the viewer comes into the composition, into the painting, and exit through the light. Also, whenever I paint, I try to paint everything in an impressionistic style, and because that helps to reduce your shape in the simpler forms, and it also helps with your originality as well. Even though I try to create paintings of my own style, even when I show it in an art market exhibition, still they think like there is a lack of originality in my painting. So that's why nowadays I'm trying to get away from copying as it is, then expressing my way of painting as well, and that also helps you to express your painting really freely. When you're doing this, try to make sure everything is painted in a quick confident stroke way. Try not to dab it, and that's also another thing I'm trying to introduce in my work these days, and to show a little bit of confidence in my painting. And you can see the water in the foreground, I left it a little bit white with the cerulean blue, but in my sketch I want to create a little bit of depth, and it also shows that there's a little bit of consistency in the foreground. So if you check the reality, in order to create depth, warmer colors and the colors in darker value comes in the foreground, and the values which are lighter goes in distance. So that's the exact thing I was trying to capture. I also tried to capture in my sketch as well. And I'm also I checked the video, and I also changed quite a bit in the foreground, so I'm going to change in my painting as well. And you can see I want to make sure there's a lot of light in the lighthouse, so I'm using white paint to bring it in. And I'm also trying to put this house in distance as well, using white paint to get a little bit of details in my painting. And I'm also adding a little bit of details for the people as well. Everything looks good now, but the foreground lacks a little bit of value, so I'm going to glaze over with the sand color. In my sketch, I kept a little bit darker, and I also splattered some darker pigments in the foreground to have some details, because are also to look really weak. And there's also a lot of deposit from the beach, which was in the foreground as well, where I was standing. So I just want to make it a little bit abstract, and it's not reading as much as it can. And I think I took my sketch and we captured the essence of the scene, and I also had a little bit of more details than the plein air sketch. But personally, I prefer the plein air sketch than the painting I did. But either way, I ended up with two painting, and I also learned how to simplify my scene and how everything works in the reality as well. And as you can see, I also showed my plein air sketch as well. So now it's your turn. Go out and let's see what you can come up with. Thanks again for watching this plein air painting tutorial. Please feel free to share your thoughts on the video in the comment section below. If you have any other topics related to watercolors that you'd like me to cover, please reach out to me at watercolorimpressions@gmail.com or leave a comment down below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for weekly uploads. And share it with your fellow artists, friends and family. And good luck with your painting, folks.